Welcome everybody to the 12 o'clock show with Mayor Gandalf and his special guest, Reynoldsburg Clerk of Council, Mollie Prasher. How are we doing today?
Great, that's a real toe tapper there.
I figured as much. Get things going the right way. Well, we got a lot of questions, a lot of good topics to talk about. But first of all, let's remind everybody who might not have seen you on the show before, what exactly does a clerk of council do when not at a council meeting? We know you run the council meeting as far as getting everything in order and making sure that amendments and voting procedures are followed. But what do you do the rest of the time?
I build track.
Yeah.
Like a railroad. I keep the train on the track. It's my responsibility to get all of the information that council needs to make their decisions from the administration to council. Make sure everything is done as transparent as possible, and legally correct. I'm responsible for records retention. And
that's my favorite meeting. Those are awesome.
Yes, mine too. Records retention is a fun thing. And I'm just kind of responsible for keeping council keeping their knowledge abreast of what's happening on a day-to-day basis with the administration.
Do you have a special thing for Halloween that you say the people dressed up like this, that, and the other? Because you also participated yesterday.
Yes,
too.
I was exhausted for my ensemble yesterday. My alter ego came out, but it won best costume,
yes,
so I'm very pleased. The mayor threw down a gauntlet 5 years ago when I first started. Little did I know that I would dress up with him for the whole week of Halloween. So.
It's been a lot of fun. So a couple of things that pop up. If somebody wants to know what's on the agenda before the actual day of, before coming in, do they have to come to council, or are there other options to find out, how to get that, what council is going to be talking about?
There's two options. One is you can go to the web page the Friday before the council meeting, look under agendas and meetings. There's a little circle there on the home page. Click that and pick the date. Go to the right. There'll be a drop-down box, and you can see the packet with all the information. But it can also come right to your email if you contact me directly at mprasher, Prasher, at reynoldsburg.gov. I'll be happy to put you on the list, and you'll be mailed that information every time we have a packet.
And it's always good because there's two different versions. There's the agenda that is usually, for the most part, 1 to 3 pages, give or take a little bit. And then there's the agenda packet, which is 1 to anywhere between 3 and 900 pages.
Yes.
It just kind of depends on where you're at in that process. But it gives you everything, and you can take a look at all of that. So that's always a good thing. Now, this is a big topic in Ohio, and so I want to kind of bring it down to a little bit more of a local level. Reynoldsburg recently went through a redistricting process. What was that like, and how did that actually work in Reynoldsburg? Because obviously we're having this opportunity to vote either for or against issue 1, which is basically the same thing except on a much bigger scale. So how did we, simple folk here, in the Reynoldsburg, figure this one out?
It was a very interesting process. We community members were selected to serve on the board, and there were a few who came in who were concerned about how that process worked because what they had saw on a statewide level. But Reynoldsburg is fairly straightforward and simple. It has 4 wards, and it pretty much just takes the city and divides it in 4 quadrants, and the lines are tweaked based on population numbers in each of those quadrants. We kind of try to keep those population numbers the same or pretty close to equal, with anticipating, like Ward 3 has a lot of housing development growth, so we allow for a little bit of growth there. But those members look at those numbers based on the census districts that we receive from the U.S. Census Department that tells us how many people are in each census district, and then draw those lines based on keeping as equal numbers as we can. And we do that after every census, so every 10 years. Our next time will not be technically until probably 2031. However, with the growth Reynoldsburg has seen, council may have that committee come back together and relook at wards if they become very unbalanced.
Yeah. Well, it's just one of those interesting things because I know that on that commission, if I recall, there were 2 registered Democrats and 2 registered Republicans, and then 1 unaffiliated or independent voter. And so they came in and they had the conversations. And I don't want to say it never got tense. That's not the right word. But there was good debate. There were
a lot of good questions asked, and they saw how the process was inherently set up to be as equitable and fair as possible.
Yeah. Because I know this one of the questions that some people have talked about when it comes to redistricting at a grander level is, why is it that people kind of carve out this street or that street, or in the bigger picture in the state, how they really carve up things to kind of benefit one particular party as opposed to the non. And that's just something we never had to deal with.
No, our charter tells us exactly how to do it. It's based on major roadways. Even the river that runs through, we keep that in mind, that good basic dividing lines, streets, rather than trying to go through the middle of somebody's house.
Yeah.
We try to keep those lines as based on a rational reason to set a line.
That's a really good plan. I hope Ohio works on something like that. For the rest of it, if somebody has a question for council, and a lot of times this is what happens. There's questions that come across on social media, sometimes during council, sometimes after council, but not always to council. And there's a big difference. Well, we know that I'm on social media a lot. Members of council may or may not be, and then sometimes those questions kind of linger out there, but that's not really the official way to get information. So if somebody wanted an official answer, what would be the best option, either to find out from council, from you, or from just council members in general?
Facebook is not a viable or rational way to find any information about the place that you live, period. If you want what's really happening in the city, you can call me. You can send an email to council. I know sometimes people will send an individual email to each individual council member. You don't have to do that. If you send it to me and say to all council members, I will forward it to them and they receive it. If you have specific questions that you would like to direct toward a council member, I make sure that those do get to those council members. If it is a specific question that might involve city employees, like there's a big pothole on our street in front of my house that nobody's fixing. Well, your council members truly aren't going to be able to fix it. They want to know about it, but I will also direct that email to the person who will get your problem resolved. So hopefully, please feel free to contact me, call me, email me. If you want to make a comment at a council meeting but you can't attend, you are welcome to email me prior to 6 o'clock on the day of the meeting. After 6 o'clock, I'm in council chambers and I'm not getting that information, but I'm happy to read any comments anyone has into the record. So council hears what your opinions are. They need to be kept to about 3 minutes, but I'm happy to do that. Again, Prasher at Reynoldsburg.gov. Call or send me an email and I'll get it to council if I can help you answer your question.
All right. Well, I know that answered a couple of other questions, but I'll kind of go through the other few. Are there any plans to increase the live stream capabilities at City Council, planning and zoning meetings, things like that? As an example, the idea is to see what's actually being projected on the screen, or the case of better audio. I can handle the better audio part because I know that that's always frustrating. When we're sitting there, not everybody speaks to the microphone. So if this is the microphone, sometimes the microphone is here and you turn it in, and then you're back into it. So that happens. I know Eric Meyer, our rather tall development director, he has his own microphone because the other one, it would just look really awkward if he has to bend down like this. That's part of it, but I don't think it's the audio in itself that's the issue. It's just, I don't want to call it user error, but sometimes it can be that. But as far as everything else, other options as far as live streaming capabilities.
Well, in fact, yesterday I was working on some of these issues. We are working to add closed captioning to all of our live meetings. We have a new projector that should allow for better visibility. It is never going to be a perfect view because we have a camera on a projection screen, so the view for the audience currently is not going to be as strong as if you were in council chambers. And the audio issue, we are getting a new podium with a much longer mic, which should help anyone who's taller than myself, which is 5'2". allow them to be able to speak into the microphone so everyone can hear them. I appreciate the issues with the audio because sometimes I have a hard time in the room hearing what people are saying. Council is doing better about making sure their mics are on and speaking into their microphones. But if you have issues, email me. Again, don't talk on Facebook and complain. If you come and tell me, I'll do my best to try to fix it. But we are making as many upgrades as we can as we go along. So all of this is still new technology. 2020 made us all start live streaming, and so we're still learning about what are the best practices and policies. So our residents who want to stay at home and watch the meetings get as clear and as good visuals and audio as they can.
Well, unless it's like a special outside presentation, because we have people from the Franklin County auditors come in and all of that. Those are a little bit different, but almost anything that's in the agenda is going to be in that. Remember when we talked about the big agenda packet, the 600-700 page things, those will be in there. So if there's certain things like the annexation stuff that came up this week.
A plat map or something.
Those are in there that you can actually have on your computer screen while you're watching, and that would be a little bit easier. But the other ones we'll continue to work on. The last one is a little bit different because it's not, it's a good question, but it's not specific for the forum of a city council meeting. Is consideration being made to have the capability electronically to respectfully submit questions during public meetings, not necessarily to be answered during the meeting, but for consideration by members? So that would be as the meeting is going on, as the discussion on a particular topic is going, based on what I'm interpreting from that question. If
you have a question during in the middle of the meeting, you may email me and I will share that question with council either that evening following the meeting or the next morning. And we can get you a response, or I'll share it with the mayor, I'll share it with whomever can give you that answer. What I know a lot of people would like is the live comments and like Facebook. Unfortunately, that's not what council meetings are for. Council members are there to do the work of the city, pass ordinances, talk about finances. They actually have work they have to do at those meetings. Most city councils in and around Ohio offer an opportunity for community members to make comments, but it's not a back and forth response time like a public town hall would be. And council can hold those where you can come in and it can all just be a question and answer time. But during council meetings, that is generally not a time where council's going to be able to respond and give you the answers to your questions that you might want. But they're happy to provide those answers and willing to provide those answers. It just won't be live during a meeting. So send those to me or send them to a council member, and I'll make sure that that gets out to them and they get those answered for you.
All right. My last question is really, what's the best part of your job? Other than dressing up for Halloween, of course.
You never know what is going to happen in any given day in government. Never. It's always interesting. It's always fun. Sometimes it can be a little scary, but it is always interesting. You just never know. And you know the inner workings of what's going on in your city. You know find out how things work. Why government's slow sometimes, because there's so many people that have to sign off on things. So that's the best part, is being part of the process and seeing how it works. It's also frustrating. There are days that it's frustrating, but that's the
do tell.
That's the best part.
No, and that is actually a lot of the fun of it, is that there really isn't. This is not you go in and you do the same thing day after day after day. There's a lot of commonalities and a lot of things that do repeat, but you never know what's going to happen. It could change in a moment's notice. All of that stuff. Any questions from the audience that have come in?
We have one about Bill 168, and you can provide any information on that. We don't have any from Mollie at this time.
Okay.
Do you have a few minutes to stick around for the rest of the show?
What's happening?
Lots of things. Well, one, we're all kind of getting excited because not only is tomorrow Halloween, but we actually have third grade students from French Run Elementary School coming here in about 45 minutes or so. So they're going to learn a little bit about government, and I will let them know that normally we don't dress up like this. But again, they're going to expect it. But a lot of things that are going on right now really is about voting. So we know early vote is going on. There is, if you've seen TV, apparently there's an election coming up next week.
Yes, I heard.
So if you want to avoid all the drama of the actual voting day of Tuesday for the elections, they do have early vote in all 3 counties. If you're going to vote in Licking County, you go out to Newark. If you're going to go in Fairfield County, you have to go down to Lancaster. And Franklin County, it's off Morse Road in Columbus, not too far out from Easton. So you have a lot of things out there. Everybody's got a number of issues. We know that Reynoldsburg City Schools has a levy issue. We also know that there's the rapid transit line in Reynoldsburg on both sides, all counties. We know that the Licking County has a fire issue that is a renewal levy, and we know that the senior levy is also a renewal levy. And then the Truro Township levy is a new levy here, and then we have Franklin County Children's Services as well. So there's a lot of those levies, so go ahead and take a look at some of those specific things. When it comes to the statewide issues and the larger issues, I kind of am being inspired by my costume today. Just a quote that kind of comes up, and it says, I wish it need not have happened in my time, said Frodo. So do I, said Gandalf, and so do all who live to see such times. But that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us. And that is kind of where my philosophy is going on this one right now, is that being a student of history, this is not the worst time in the world. This is not the worst time even in the United States, not even in my lifetime. However, it is incredibly contentious. But we have a solution for that. We have the opportunity to go and vote. We're seeing good early voting numbers in the state of Ohio in general. And that's what's going to happen when the votes are counted and tallied. That's the direction that the country will go to, and you have that opportunity to make that choice. So please do so.
Mayor, if I can add one thing, for those of you voting early in Licking County, the location of where you vote is no longer in the Board of Elections office. You go downstairs to the basement. So just so you know, and you get stickers. You can have as many stickers as you want if you vote early. So. That's
why I like the stickers. I got to go for the stickers.
So
one question I'm going to put out to everybody else for next year, because I'm already prepping for next year's 12 o'clock show. So a lot of times we have to schedule out really far in advance with some of our individuals, whether they're state reps and state senators and things like that. And I always have to book Santa Claus first, because if I don't get Santa Claus, then really there's no point in having this show. But other than some of the people that you've seen, this year we did a couple of cool things. We got members of the Board of Elections to come in here. We've had some other agencies. If there's anybody out there that you think, hey, why don't you see if you can ask this person to come? Keep in mind, I can ask. I ask a lot of people. Not all the time does everybody come, but we try and get a well-rounded thing. So if you got any suggestions for us, please go ahead and let us know. Cool things that are going on. The Shop with a Cop is accepting donations for Reynoldsburg Police Department. They're accepting Meijer gift cards until the November 25th. So please, 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 if you want to go ahead and bring in a gift card for that, it's a great opportunity. We also have a lot of traffic stuff coming up. So we know that Wagner Road is going to be closed as of Friday. Now, when I say closed on Friday, I mean absolutely closed. You're not going to be able to get onto Wagner Road from Main Street. You're not going to be there, not from, if you want to take a chance and try and go at 6 o'clock in the morning, maybe you'll be okay. But outside of that, it's going to be locked down there at the bridge, because if you haven't had a chance to see, the bridge is basically gone. Half the bridge is gone at this point. So they're going to shut that down, and it's going to be for about 60 days until they get that completely done. On the bright side, if you're on Wagner Road, you can actually travel in both directions from here on out, so that's a good thing. So you can go north and southbound, or all the way to Broad Street, all the way back to around the VFW, for those of you that don't like the north-south ideas. But that's going to be about 60 days, and then after that, they're going to work on a culvert, a little bridge area, and things of that. So just kind of keep that in mind. Now, this week at Council, I did ask Council for permission to do this. This is the intersection at Haft and Main Street. For whatever reason, Reynoldsburg has a lot of intersections that are not aligned properly. This one, however, came to an opportunity for us to actually straighten this one out, because the home or the business that's on there, this little red thing down at the bottom of the screen there, is actually for sale. So the city is going to be engaged into purchasing it, assuming Council approves, and then we're going to straighten out that intersection. The reason why is a couple of things. One, that is the main entry and exit area for some of the apartments that are behind City Hall that are mostly senior living facilities, as well as the main entrance for our police department. So we're trying to even that out, so that way It's a little bit safer all the way around. The building's going to be demolished, and we're going to go ahead and move the street lights over so it's more aligned all the way. And then we're going to work and try and figure out some cool things for landscaping and all of that. So that's what I've asked there. Is it going to affect everybody in the city? No. Will it help response time from our police officers a little bit? Probably a little. So kind of keep that in mind. If you have any questions about that, let me know. We are also in the process of a lead initiative. One of the number of things that's going on in the state is every city is being asked to kind of catalog what potential lead-based water lines every city has, and so far the city actually does not have any right now that we know of that are city-controlled lines. So there are about 3,000 units of housing that are going to get something in the mail. They'll probably already have gotten it. That's going to ask them to perform what they call a scratch test and then report it to us. This would be for the lines that are in between their homes or in their homes themselves. So we know what our city lines are doing. Now we want to take it to that next step. Everything outside of that 3,000 we already know about, and it's already been confirmed. So if you've got something in the mail asking for this, trust me, it's us. For Parks and Recreation, we have the Mel Clemens Community Service Award. So someone who has displayed an outstanding volunteer service in the community over the past year, please feel free and nominate someone in that regard. It's always a good thing to recognize the people that basically give up their time for free to help with everyone. So that's always a cool thing. The other thing that we'll talk about a little bit is the development kind of going on. We mentioned the annexation earlier. The city of Reynoldsburg is going to be annexing land. That's actually, the land has already been annexed into the city. This is off Summit Road, just south of the elementary school on what would be the west side of the street. And that is actually going to be a combination of housing units that are for the Licking Heights School District. There'll be some single-family homes and some multifamily homes. But this is one piece of a much larger project, which includes sewer extension and things of that nature. Happy to talk about those specifically. But what went to council this past week is TIF legislation. So the idea is that we're going to take the property taxes of that particular thing to help pay for a lot of the infrastructure all the way across. So that's what that's all about. And then some of those funds are also going to be used to expand Summit Road. So Summit Road from Main Street all the way to really the elementary schools is going to be expanded. We're aiming for 2026, and we're waiting for some grant information for that as well. But their hope is we plan on having a traffic light at Main and Summit as well, which is not the easiest or safest intersections all the way across. But that's kind of an idea of what's going on in that particular neck of the woods. Any questions so far?
No.
Okay. Events, trick or treat, my favorite. It's happening tomorrow, rain or shine. Most of the communities in Central Ohio about 30 years ago agreed through the MORPC, which is the Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission, to kind of coordinate and have all of their trick or treat nights on the same night. For us, the real specific reason is we want to make sure that we have staffing allowed to be out there the entire time for police departments so they can go ahead and travel the neighborhoods. We don't do it on the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday because usually Friday and Saturday you're looking at high school football or you're looking at Ohio State and you're looking at other instances where police might be needed in other capacities. So usually it's those other days of the week that are there. And we try and keep it consistent because if we were to move the idea, especially this late because of weather, one, you don't know if the weather's going to show up that way or not. And then the other part is for everybody who's already made arrangements to be with their children on that night, if you stop that to do something else, it becomes a whole other thing. So that's why we stick with that one particular night. I'm looking forward to it. We'll be out. I will probably be Ghostbuster because we have a Ghostbusters theme holiday decorations this year, so we'll be able to do that. But I'm looking forward to that one as well. Any questions so far?
Just about that bill.
Yeah. So I looked briefly at 168 because I saw that just come in just before the show. I'll look at it. I did look at the sponsors of the bill, and while I won't make any complete assumptions, there are a number of sponsors on that bill that are inherently hostile to public education, specifically Senator Andy Brenner, who's on record very much that he would like to abolish public education. So that's something that when I see his sponsorship on there, it gives me a moment of pause. But I will take a look in that and see exactly what specifically is there. I'm also meeting with Senator Michelle Reynolds, who's also another co-sponsor of that bill. She and I are meeting, I think, in 2 weeks, something around like every 2.5 weeks. But I'll get that information in there to see. I have very strong feelings when it comes to what the state does and does not do for public education. The real simplest thing is very much public education in the state of Ohio has been ruled unconstitutional since the 90s, and it hasn't been fixed since. And people wonder why we have to go to the ballot every so often for finances. So we'll go ahead and take a look at that one, but I'll kind of give a more basic report on that next week. Yes.
How will the new veterinary lab affect development?
It's going to bring jobs to Reynoldsburg. So this is the new veterinary lab. This is at the Department of Agriculture. They're investing $70 million on a campus-wide project. What they're going to do there is, one of the things we learned during COVID is a lot of testing for that type of thing actually went back to other states. They had to outsource it. This facility is going to have everything. So all of the testing, whether it's for animal testing, making sure if there's any communicable diseases amongst our farm population, if there's tree diseases, all of that stuff is going to be brought back in-house right here to Reynoldsburg. To kind of get reviewed. So they're building a new facility that's got all the upgraded technology and then the employees that will come along with it. There's also going to be a $30 million expansion of the fire academy as well. They just haven't gotten as far along in the process. But that's going to be pretty cool all the way around because that means that there's that many more people that want restaurants and places to go, especially across the street at Eastwood, which we're having conversations on. So hopefully after the first of the year, we'll have some good news on that front. Pretty cool. That was a loaded question. Did somebody put, that's a softball question. Did somebody put that in there that I know? Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. We'll just go with that.
And the new extended bus line would go all the way
out there. Yes, it would. So if the rapid transit line does pass, it will go all the way out there, and then that will connect with shuttle services going into the rest of Licking County, as so far as going out to Intel, going out to Newark, and other distribution centers. So we'll find out on Tuesday night what that one's all about. Other things that are going on, we have the 60th anniversary of the Tomato Festival, and we have a pretty nice committee, but if you want to join in and help on what would be the 60th anniversary of the Tomato Festival, please reach out. We're taking our first steps. We're reviewing the musicians for next year already, so that's pretty fun.
I put in my order.
Yep, everybody always has, this is a very popular time where Jennifer and I get a lot of questions asked about, hey, can I see the list, and things like that. So once we get a little bit things narrowed down, hopefully we'll be able to make some announcements not too long after the first of the year on that one. Next week we have, I'm really looking forward to this because there's a lot of cool things going on. Heart Food Pantry and Cheryl Wooden is going to be here, and she's going to be talking about their new facility that they're looking to build right by the Dairy Queen, right on Main Street. So you know where the traffic is in that point. This is actually going to be a brand new facility that's going to be, well, I'll let her tell you all that stuff for next week, but we're really looking forward to her being there. As always, be safe and respectful, but I will say another little fun quote in there, and this is for every day that kind of goes along with my ideas of the shopping cart. I have found that it is the small everyday deeds of ordinary folk that keep the darkness at bay. And I do believe that. So it's a little thing from putting a shopping cart away to picking up some trash to holding the door open for somebody as they're coming in. Those are the little things that make life a little bit easier to deal with, especially in such heightened times. That being said, I'll ask one last chance for a second question.
No.
All right, so they'll come in 10 seconds after I say goodbye.
Absolutely.
But everybody else, stay safe, stay respectful. Make sure you go vote because I won't be able to talk to you until then. So go out there, exercise your right to vote, and please put your shopping carts away. Have a great week, everybody.
Happy Halloween.